Welcome, everybody, to another beautiful episode of IG2G. This is episode 63, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes I am.
64,
It was
sucker.
63, I swear. I don't
No,
have
it's 64.
64.
You put it. You made the folder. This is IG2G 64 and put stuff in it already. What is wrong?
You see how insane I am? It does. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Oh my god.
Third Shift presents The Imposter's Guide to Gaming, your quick fix for gaming news. Now, here are your hosts, Eric and Matt.
Hey-o, everybody. This is episode 64 of IG2G. I am, of course, one of your crazy, insane hosts, Mr. Eric, the man who can't remember an episode at all because I have problems. What do you want from me? And with me is the one who's laughing, the inglorious bastard himself, Mr. Matt. Yeah, today we've got a wonderful little show for you. It's going to be a shorty because Mr. Matt is sick. So,
Yes.
You'll just have to make do. But we do have some wonderful games in the releases and a fun little topic about the upcoming new generation of consoles. So if that interests you whatsoever, please stay tuned, because here we go.
Number 3.
My first game I'm bringing everybody tonight is a Switch PC title currently, alright? It came out October 10th. It's Valfaris. If you're looking for an action platformer, think Abadox, think Contra, old school 2D, sort of pixel art, all that good stuff. This is going to be right up your alley. Alright, here's the breakdown of the story. You're Therian. You're basically a space Viking. Your homeworld, Valfaris, used to be a paradise land, disappeared off the space charts, reappears around a dying sun. You're like, what the heck? So you go investigate, come to find out it's like all dark and evil and corrupted and messed up. So you land and you got to figure out what's going on. You're equipped with a plasma sword, you can activate a shield, and you've got different types of guns, just like Abadox, Contra, etc., in which you get to utilize to kill all sorts of crazy aliens while jumping from platform to platform. It's all, as I said, 2D, beautiful pixel art, and more than Contra, it really reminds me of Abadox minus the flying part, because in this game, you're talking like metal alien constructs. You're talking crazy exotic species of all sorts of bugs and aliens and mutants. And when you kill them, it's blobs of blood and just gore and viscera everywhere. Really gave me that Abadox feel that I used to get back in the day. And I know, Contra has that kind of stuff too. But for whatever reason, the way it's drawn, the way it is, reminds me more of that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, hey, maybe go check out Abadox 2. What a great Nintendo game from way, way back in the day. Alls I know is you don't see too many Contra, old school Contra style games that are great anymore, and this is definitely one of them. And in case you don't know, it is developed by Steel Mantis and brought to you by Big Sugar and Merge. They do have PlayStation versions and Xbox One versions on the way, but they're coming a little bit later. It's PlayStation 4's going to be coming around November 5th and 6th, and then the Xbox One November 15th. So if you want it on those other consoles, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, but if you got the Switch or PC, you can pick it up right now. And before we go, one final thing on this one. It is crazy metal, alright? Like I told you, Therian looks just like some kind of space Viking all decked out, and the music is all heavy metal. All sorts of beautiful heavy riffs throughout the entire game. It sounds amazing. It looks really, really cool if you're into that old school 2D pixel art stuff. If any of this sounds great to you, I'd recommend you go check it out.
Number 2.
So the one release you guys get from me this week, because it's been a day of sickness and me not having fun, is The Witcher 3 Complete Edition, which drops today, the same day as this episode, the 15th of October, for the Nintendo Switch for $50. And man, let me tell you, if you've never played The Witcher 3 before, or maybe you only have a Switch, you don't have anything else you can play it on, you need to get this game, you need to play Witcher 3. If you've never played Witcher 3, you gotta play Witcher 3. It's one of my favorite RPGs ever. Probably, yes, definitely my very favorite open world RPG of all time. It's just, the game's so good. Everybody else has already said it with reviews for the original version, but the world is so immersive and so expansive and so real and feels lived in. Just everything about The Witcher 3's story and the way it's presented, the way you interact with people, the decisions you can make, everything is so awesome. There's very few games that even touch what this game does. And gosh, just Man, it's so good. I don't even know where to start with Witcher 3. And I mean, obviously I'm not going to do a big review of Witcher 3, but if you've never played it, you got to play it. If you've never been into the series, this is the perfect jumping in point, because all the things that, I mean, you'll miss some references here and there if you don't know the books, or maybe you don't know the other games, but there's the big, like, basically like a codex system that gives you history of the characters, lets you know what they're up to. I mean, I feel like they do a good job of introducing people and telling you what Geralt's backstory is with them, or at least, you being able to infer it via all the dialogue and the things they ask you to do and the way you react, the way Geralt reacts to them, the way they react to him. If you're scared about, I never played Witcher 1 or 2, definitely jump into Witcher 3. It's so fun and so expansive. You will make your own fun in this game. I will say the only things that I can comment on specifically for the Switch version are, I mean, it's been downgraded just a little bit to be on the Switch. Graphics aren't quite as sharp. I think people are saying in docked mode it's like 720p instead of like your 1084Ks and blah, 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 all the numbers and all the things. But if you're playing it in handheld mode, you're not going to notice it as much because you got a nice little, crisp little screen. And this is, gee whiz, also the only way you can play Witcher 3 on the go. You can take Witcher 3 on the train with you. You can go off and climb a mountain and go across a verdant field and play on a game where you're crossing mountains and crossing verdant fields and fighting griffins and fighting all these people. I don't know. It's great. Witcher 3 is amazing. Like I said, it's one of my favorite RPGs ever. There's so much content in here to also be on a little Switch cartridge, because I think it's all on the physical version. You don't have to download anything. It's got the 2 DLCs in it as well, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, both of which are awesome, especially Blood and Wine, because it gives you like a different feel of the game. You go to a different area, you do different stuff, there's different things to see. So after your 90 to 120 hours of base Witcher 3 action, you get even more with Blood and Wine. But just play. I mean, just play. Everybody needs to play this game just for the story. For the story alone. You can put it on easy mode. You can put all the difficulties down. It's worth it to go through this giant ride with these characters, because you really get to know them, get to love them, get to shape them, with your responses in different ways, and get to just identify with them and really feel like, and literally go on a journey with them. I was going to say feel like you're going on a journey with them, but you literally are. For hundreds of hours, you're with this character. You're doing the things. You're interacting with people. You're making decisions. You're seeing the effects of those decisions. They're coming back to maybe haunt you or to benefit you later in, maybe it's just later in the small side quest storyline. Maybe it's a bigger thing overall. You're meeting other characters and they're referencing what happened with the other ones. So obviously, if you can play Witcher 3 on a PC, PS4, Xbox One, those are the optimal places to play it. But if you want to play Witcher 3 on the go, get the complete edition, play it on the Switch, and have a great time. Maybe the frame rate won't be locked at 60 frames per second. Maybe the resolution's a little lower, but it's still one of the best games of all time, and you can play it on the go now. If you have a Switch and you like playing on the go, you got to play this game on the go. It's the best. Witcher 3 is amazing, and that's it. That's all there is, Danny. That's all. It makes me happy. It makes me smile. I'm not feeling good, so I'm gonna go. See you later.
Number 1.
My last release for the week is none other than Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. This game released on Xbox One, PC, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch, all on October 8th. Developed by Playtonic Games, yes, none other than the folks who used to be part of Rare, making the old school Donkey Kong Countries, Banjo-Kazooie, etc., etc. They, of course, split off into their own little team, and earlier, a while back anyway, they brought you Yooka-Laylee, which was a 3D platformer in the vein of Banjo-Kazooie, a fun, solid title, but this time they took it back to the 2.5D. Think Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, that sort of type of game, or the old school Donkey Countries for the Super Nintendo. It's really, really fun, really, really neat, very colorful, all sorts of fun, coins, etc. to find. You're going to want to go back and forth. All the 2.5 levels have alternate ways in which they're laid out. So like some of them have like night and day cycles, some freeze over, etc. So there's different ways to play the levels. So there's a little variety there when you're looking to collect all the coins and stuff. And then what's really neat is that the overworld is a big old 3D hub, but it's not just like a walk from one point to point B like it used to be in like Super Mario Bros. 3 or in your typical Donkey Kong countries. This one actually has you solving puzzles, pushing blocks around, some platforming stuff going on there. So you're having fun in the 3D world, getting to the next 2.5D levels. It's all very, very gorgeous, as you can imagine it would be, very colorful. And another neat spin is that the last boss is actually playable from the word go. In fact, they'll throw you right in and you got to give it a go, and you'll see how impossible it is. You just can't do it when you first start. Well, someone will figure it out, but most people can't. So you're going to these levels to get these bees that give you an extra life in the last dungeon, and that allows you to kind of set your own pace for when you're going to go ahead and beat the game. You can keep going until you get them all, and then make it easy peasy. It's up to you. So I just thought that was pretty cool how they kind of give you your own end. If you want to end it, after a few hours and you think you can do it, go on in. It's an extremely difficult dungeon, extremely long, no checkpoints, no nothing. You got to go all the way through. Hence why you got to go collect these bees, which give you the extra life. Very solid looking game. Looks like a lot of fun, especially if you got a family who is into games. Very PG. If you haven't seen it, go take a look. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair.
Imposter's topic of the day.
So I thought we'd do like a generalist little topic tonight, and that topic is going to be about, obviously, what I told you earlier, the new console generation. We've got the PS5. They've recently announced via Twitter, of all things, or was it? Oh, it was an article from Wire that got thrown onto Twitter or some such. It was all ridiculous. Some hardware weird. I don't know why it's being announced this way. Yeah. It's just weird. It's when you go to like GameSpot or IGN or Game Informer or a video game outlet instead of a tech outlet. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, it is tech. It's literally when you're literally just saying, "Hey, here's the processor type stuff that's going into it. Here's the tech we're using." I get it, but here's a bigger question: why wouldn't you bring that to E3 or something? Why don't you go to TGS or you don't announce your console and what we're doing with it to like an online magazine.
Yeah,
you show it to gamers at a place where gamers are.
It used to be a big event. Oh, woo! And then, the standing applause, everyone's screaming. You do the big lights, and then some Terminator music in there, freaking lightning going, fog.
Because I'm sure we're going to mention it. That's what Xbox did. Mm-hmm. They said, "Hey, we're showing like chips and stuff. We have nothing to show, but we're going to talk about it." And gamers went, "Woo, woo!" But here it's, "Hey, look, somebody told you about it." And, I mean, gamers did stand up and go woo in their house, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
people were excited. I mean, and maybe people weren't, and we'll talk a little bit about that, because to kind of just beat right into the bush before we go on all sorts of tangents, they went ahead and came out with, hey, the PS5 is real, as you all know. It's coming out holiday season 2020, and we want to talk to you today about the controller. And so they went ahead and spec'd out some of what the controller is going to be capable of. They've had previous talks in the past, too, about the direction this console is going for the PlayStation 5. And, of course, I might as well tie it in, the Xbox Scarlet. That's not its actual name yet. That's just what its code name is. And how that they're not going to be going for graphics this time. I think this is like the first push we've seen in a console war where graphics are no longer what's being talked about, what's being mentioned. I'm sure they'll be better. Everyone's going after the side specs, like solid-state drives, making sure load times are cut way down, lag, input, all that other garbage. You're going to get more saving space, more side, just all tertiary stuff, and nothing about just pushing forward, which I thought was really interesting, just in how it's not going to be doing what it's always done. And they're like, all right, we've kind of peaked out here. We want to get, ray tracing. They want to get that into the systems so the lighting effects and the things will be all beautiful and gorgeous, and the rain's going to be amazing, and this and that, and da-da-da-da-da. So basically, with all that being said, in the fact that they're not going to be doing the big push. This kind of seems like a sidestep more in the sense of a console war instead of like a big push. Like basically like from the PS4 Pro to the back to the PS4 original. I feel like we're getting another one of those instead of an actual like, here's a new console, look at all the crazy crap it's going to do.
And I think probably the reason for that is because we've had the interim consoles. Like, if you think about it, if you have the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, and games are already getting optimized for that, which already output, like, the best possible resolutions at the time, it's still only been, like, 2-3 years after that? You can't have another... I mean, I guess you can. I'm not a big tech guy. I don't know. I would think you can't have another, like, outrageous jump up from... You already, like, did a small Mario jump. Now you're going for like the third Mario jump. You can't just do that. You got to slowly step up with the 3 Mario jumps.
Well, yes and no, because here's the problem I'm having personally. I bought the original PS4 Pro. I saw the PS4. I mean, I keep saying Pro.
No.
I bought the original PS4. Then the PS4 Pro came along saying, "Hey, we're going to support 4K, this and that," and it was some weird kind of supported. The Xbox fully supported it, and they were like, "Hey, here's the next future. This is all future. This is the best. This is all graphics are better. It's faster. And I went, "Okay, well, it's sort of better. It's pretty neat, but I'm not on board. I don't have 4K TVs, nor do I have 4K monitors, or none of the HDR stuff, so it doesn't really apply to me." And of course, they did make games process a little bit faster as well. I wasn't on board. Well, now at this next jump that they want you to do, they're sticking with 4K, they're sticking with HDR, they're adding the ray tracing, they're adding in all the SSD drives, they're probably going to add in more storage space, all that good stuff. They're probably going to make the hubs a little bit better. As I talked about on top of it, they're going to make your controller do the cool switch vibrations instead of, just standard boring old rumble. They're going to make it so the buttons can be changed about where it's more pressure, so if you're shooting a gun or pulling a bow back, that kind of crap. All very neat. But all very all very small. And I feel like here's the problem. Here's where I get upset. I'm going to buy it, obviously.
Yeah.
Because for me, this ultimate jump from PS4 regular all the way to this one is pretty big. So for me, I'm going to get my bang for my buck. But for those who bought like a PS4 Pro, they're going to get some tertiary stuff. And then on top of that, guess what? Tech's already moving to 8K. So by the time you get acquainted with your PS4 5 and then your Xbox Scarlet, about a year, maybe 2 in, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to be like, "Oh, 8K is the new thing. If you don't have 8K, you're not living the life." And then they're going to go, "Hey, PS5 Super Pro, and it's going to have 8K instead of 4K HDR." And it's like, I feel like this mid-jump thing is starting to get a foothold, and I feel like it's going to become a trend while we still do like just consoles. And I don't like that. I feel like each console when it comes out should be, this is the package for the time. Here you go. This is it. This is the top of the top, best of the best. 8K already exists. It's already out there. But it's just for super rich people.
Right.
But it exists. So I don't like the fact that they're like, "Hey, we're bringing in this tech that we know in 2 years is going to be replaced with the next big thing, which is going to be 8K, whatever else adds onto it." And then you're going to be stuck having to upgrade.
Now, I agree with what you're saying, because I don't like it either. I like buying a console every 5 to 7 years and it being the next big jump, and I'm good with that. I'm good with touching it. I'm good, you can make the console smaller, make them sleeker, limited editions, but I don't like the incremental upgrade stuff. But you got to remember that is the world we live in now. When you have someone like, I'm not going to name names, Will Howard, who will buy an iPhone 10 for $1,000, and then like 2 years later will go, "Well, maybe I should get that iPhone 11. But when you have, I mean, that's the technology cycle now. You buy the latest, hottest thing for big, giant money, you hang on to it for 2 years, and then you replace it with the next biggest, hottest thing. Because, I mean, consoles will never stay ahead of technology, so you can't really... If you want the best stuff, you have to do incremental stuff, as much as I don't like it. But I think people, especially obviously in the cell phone market, are so ingrained in that, especially if you want to be on top, if you want to have the latest thing, that's just what you're going to do. I'm not going to do it because I'm an old man, and you're not going to do it because you're an old man, and we're both poor old men.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's ever not going to keep going in this fashion.
I feel like the precedent's been set. I think that's where it's going. So what it all leads me to here in this little portion of it is that some people, including myself, I'm excited to the level of that. Hey, it's the new system. It's going to have some cool new stuff. I do like the fact that it's upgrading its controller and it's going to give us SSD drives, which is going to make you loading into games like that much faster. They did that whole Spider-Man demo of what they're trying to tell you what they're going to be doing, where they showed you like the load in on the standard PS4, and then they showed you on what their PS5 tech's going to be, what your load in screens are going to look like, and it's literally like boop, a second and you're loaded in and playing.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, and I appreciate the fact that we're not going to do the big graphics jump myself personally, because I feel like graphics where they are almost as good as it gets. Yeah. I think by adding side things like the better lighting, and you smile because we said that back in the Nintendo days to the Super Nintendo days, and of course it's going to get better. Now, I would ask this, I don't really want to go on a tangent about it, but I do want to say, when I say that, I kind of don't mean like they won't get better, like they're incapable of getting better. I say it in the respect that if they get too much better or farther along, it's going to almost be like playing real life. And I don't know if I'm down with that. I kind of want my games to stay games, to look like games. And we're getting to that point where the graphics are so crisp and beautiful that that's as far as it goes before I'm going to start going, it looks like I'm looking through a window at something. And that's going to kind of be weird.
I agree. I don't really want to go on a tangent about it, but I know what you're saying.
Yes.
Maybe we'll bring that back around sometime soon. Because I feel like it would be, I don't know. I feel like it would be unnerving if things looked too right. As a gamer who's been looking at graphics on screens for basically my entire life. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you'd have to do a lot of other stuff. Like, I really want to get into a little bit on the controller. So we'll get back to that in a second. But like, control wise and like HUD display, I think you'd have to have a combination of all three of those. Where if it's, the graphics are amazing and look lifelike, the HUD is really minimalist, like say something like a Dead Space, where it's on its back, you don't see like text around your screen. And then, like you were talking about the controller, I really like what they're doing with it, because it makes things, it sounds like at least, it's going to make things a lot more immersive and interactive. Like if you're pulling back a bow, the trigger itself gets harder to pull for you, the gamer, and maybe, I don't know, it'd ever be hard to hold open, but like when you got a bow at full tilt, whatever you call it, full stretch,
full draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, full draw. It's hard to hold that for a long time. So if you feel that as the player, to feel what your character's doing, I think once they meld all three of those together, it's going to be crazy. But I like where they're going with that controller, because that sounds like just tons of really cool options for just immersive control as a player. I just want to say that before we scoot off and shoot off into the Wonderland. Yeah, because you were kind of like, the controller sounds cool. I think it sounds freaking awesome.
I'm just
Hopefully
worried.
It's implemented well, though.
I'm just worried it's going to still feel basically just like a Rumble controller. Because I own a Switch, and it's got all that cool fancy doodad Switch controllers, but I think Mario is the only game I've played that's actually used its function in a different way than just as a basic Rumble. Every other game I've played on my Switch just rumbles, just like any other game.
But it makes Mario feel that much more...
It does.
I wouldn't say... It makes it feel that much more special when you play a game that's like that. Mm-hmm. Especially when you jump to, like, I played Bayonetta and stuff on there, and it rumbles. But when you're on Mario... and you feel it like pulsing,
plopping, pulsing, doing all sorts of different things. It's amazing. The potential for it is awesome. I'm just worried that no one's going to pick it up, just as they haven't done for the Switch. And it's just going to be like, okay, yeah, we could use this, but how about we just make it rumble and focus more on our gameplay, so on and so forth. So I'm like, yay, I see where it could be amazing, but I just doubt. Because up till now, most developers are not utilizing these extra functions and doing things with them.
I mean, that's fair, but like I said, it's going to make the people who do get into that super immersive game space. I want to see Hideo Kojima make a really crazy Super Controls game.
Yeah, he
will. He will.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that, first-party games, where obviously anything officially Sony released and Sony related, it's going to do all kinds of stuff with that. So I mean, I agree. I don't think like Ubisoft is going to make the best Rumbly thing, but when Sony comes out with something cool for it, or these auteur developers do, it's going to make it that much more special.
I agree. Now, here's the thing: have you heard anything? Because I haven't on Scarlett's controller. Are they going to be doing anything with theirs?
I don't think I've heard.
I haven't heard anything.
I don't think I've heard a single thing.
Okay, so we don't really know what their controller is looking like yet. They have talked a little bit about their hardware, what they're doing, where they're going with everything. But their focus has kind of been on like the gamer, making games available, making you be able to play anywhere, you play your Xbox games on your tablet, play your Xbox games on your Xbox, play your Xbox games on your PC. I like that message. I like you're going to be able to play our games wherever you want to play our games. PlayStation so far has been, it's still going to be, hey, we're the PlayStation community. We're going to make games here, and you're going to play your games here, and that's what we're up to. Where
now, I was going to say, I will say on that, I really like that message and that idea, because even PS4 does it a little bit. You can stream games to your Vita, and I've done it a few times, and it doesn't really matter to me because I'm a single guy alone in my house, but if somebody else wanted the TV, it's super cool to play your PS4 games, boop, on your little handheld. So if I had a tablet that could do it, or a phone that could do it, I would absolutely be all for, playing my Xbox games on that, especially if I lived, in a crowded house, or, I'm making dinner, but I still want to kind of tap through my game, like, playing a dialogue-heavy game or something. Just sit there with my tablet, and, yeah, I'm playing Witcher 4, but while I'm doing this, not in the same room, and then, whoop, coming right back, bloop, disconnect, and now it's popped up on the TV again. I mean, my experience with it is so cool that I really like that Xbox does and will do that. It's
going to do something similar.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an Xbox, because they do it now, don't they, with like the double screen thing? Even with Xbox One, I thought.
I know I can play on the PC with any Xbox game, basically. So I guess sort of, but I don't know if you can...
I thought they had at least started it. Maybe... Because they had like a whole second screen push thing for a while there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's fully featured or not. But for my limited experience, it's fun and it's cool to do. So I see the value in it, is what I'm saying.
And here's the shtick. This is what everyone knows and everyone's heard a million times. Is Xbox is pushing for this future where you can play their stuff anywhere. I really dig it. I really like what they're talking about. I like the direction they're going. The problem I have with these two particular consoles is that as much as I like what Xbox has been telling me about where you're going to be able to play, how you're going to be able to play, and of course they've been toting all sorts of really cool loading times because, like I said, both systems are pushing for the tertiary stuff instead of the graphic power, all that gosh darn, usual typical crap. Is still, I haven't heard much about what Xbox is going to do game-wise. And I feel like it's coming down to the exact same thing it came down to the last console, or was who's going to have the games, who's got the third-party developers on their side, who's pushing what. And so far, it looks like PlayStation is still pushing all the big dogs, those first parties they've got. They've got Atlas in their belt, under their belt, and I look over at Xbox, and I'm like, I still don't see the big ones I need to see. And, they tout Gears of War, Halo, but that's always been what they've had.
Well, see, I think the way you phrased it is exactly not the problem, but the issue here is you don't see the things that you need to see. There's a ton of people who play on Xbox who like, I wouldn't say like the casual stuff, but, the sports games, the Halos, the Gears of War, they like what Xbox brings to them. And then they get all the third-party games anyway. The big ones, like Ubisoft, EA games. So it's all there, but if you're more like a hardcore gaming connoisseur like you and me, and you love your Yakuza games and your Personas and stuff, yeah, that won't ever be there.
Well, and your God of War, your Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
Jeez,
okay.
Oh, Pete, man, when you start with slap your boy. It's that type of stuff.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I don't know. I agree. PlayStation is more for me because it has the direct line to Japan for all the weird stuff.
Yeah, the weird RPGs, etc. Well, and I kind of come back over and over to this, and it bugs me because I used to love my Xbox. I had the Xbox, the original Xbox. I had the Xbox 360. You know what I mean? And I played the hell out of those systems.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it, I had to go, well, where, like you said, where are the games that I need to have? And it's on PlayStation. And I just wish somebody over at Xbox would pay the money, do whatever needs to be done to get that area covered on their system. And I don't understand why through several iterations now of the Xbox, they still haven't reached into the RPG room and grabbed a whole bunch of things and brought it over. You know, they've done it a couple, but not a whole bunch. And I'm like...
Which is what really surprises me, because on Xbox 360's launch, well, in their launch window, they had Enchanted Arms, which is a JRPG. They had Blue Dragon, they had Lost Odyssey, they had Magna Carta. All those were, you know, Japanese, or I think Magna Carta was just Korean artists, but those were all JRPGs. And I don't know, maybe they just weren't successful, but in that 360 era, I have a lot of them. They had a decent amount. So it kind of does depress me that, well, at least as far as I know, maybe there are some out there. I don't know. As far as I know, they're not.
I was going to say, as far as I'm aware, no, I haven't seen them.
Like Xbox One, there were like 3 or 4. 360, you jumped up to 5 to 10. Like, I would want this to be like, hey, now it's the next step.
Because you look at PlayStation 4 and you start digging through RPGs, you're going to find just a cajillion of them. And are they some of them terrible? Sure. But there's a cajillion of them. There's all sorts of crazy Japanese RPGs to get your hands on, American RPGs. They're there, and they're easily accessible via Amazon or wherever you want to buy your games from. That's what I want. And I'm not saying I would switch over to Xbox, but I used to find, mind you, the Xbox controller more comfortable. I thought the layout of the Xbox was nicer. I felt more vibrant and alive and friendly to me than PS4's current, like, kind of just weird setup. It works, but it's just kind of like, seems almost depressing to me whenever I load in my PlayStation.
I actually do agree with you on that. I like just even the analog stick move going up on the Xbox, that's your primary thing. That's what that quadrant is for, versus you're down here on the PS4, and occasionally you reach up and tap something on this forgotten D-pad that takes up this giant wheel of space. I don't know. It was just crazy old men, but like I like the shape and the feel of the Xbox controller. And like you said, even just the look of it. It looks lively. It looks... I mean... My PS4 Hyperion controller looks pretty lively.
Yeah, that's true.
The default one, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just small things like that. Like, I would love to be an Xbox connoisseur, but I just feel like even going into this next generation so far, PlayStation's still holding the same cards they held last time. And I'm like, Xbox, why didn't you, like, steal some of those cards so that way I would be enticed to come over to your house and play with you?
So I was just thinking, just looking at my system. My PS4 is a weird black pointy parallelogram. Anytime I see an Xbox, it's like smooth and, I mean, sure, it's shiny black still, but it looks friendly and inviting.
Yeah, right.
Know.
It's just weird.
I just had to mention it because I just looked over and I saw it and I went, ugh.
Looks like some strange little alien dark piece of architecture, you know, just waiting to open up and destroy you.
It should like hang upside down in that film Arrival and just be the weird aliens.
Reminds me of like something in Control. God.
There you go.
So that's kind of the shtick I wanted to go on with those two consoles. Was just I feel like we're heading into the same war we had last time, and Xbox lost that one, and I don't want them to lose, even though I intend to stick with PlayStation. So I'm kind of like, why am I rooting for the other guy, even though I'm already kind of set on just walking down the road of PlayStation once again? I don't know. It's weird.
It's always nice to see good competition and to see companies like. I want to say rise and fall, but you don't want to see a company fall.
No, you don't want to see them fall, but
you want to see them trading the top spot with cool ideas.
Yeah, there you go. Trading the top spot. I kind of want to see it, and they did it back in the day. The Xbox 360 whomped on the PlayStation 3, and then they came back and beat them with this one. And I'm like, well, I was kind of hoping Xbox would pull ahead a little bit for the next one. And it feels like that's what they're trying to do, because with the Game Pass and everything else, they're really making good with their people. You're getting great value over there, whereas PlayStation's really cut back on giving you stuff. They ramped up just recently with a couple really hot titles, but I think that's just in response to the fact that Game Pass is really just tearing it up. And they're over here going, here's your one game. And then sometimes it was something really bad. And then here's two. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better now? And it's like, whatever. So I feel like at the moment, PlayStation's still winning. I'm hoping we can see more soon, like at some of these big events, and see something different. Or even if it is from PlayStation, I'll still be excited because that's what I'm probably going to end up being with at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then last, before we end the conversation, is Nintendo. Nintendo, of course, had the Wii U come out with this generation to, compete with. Well, they're not compete with because Nintendo doesn't compete with anybody really. But their console was the Wii U for the Xbox One. Yeah, I know. Don't think so, right?
That seems
it's
wrong.
crazy.
It was wrong.
So it came out to compete with them at the same time. It completely and utterly failed. So what was it? 3 to 5 years in? I think it was 5 years in. They finally called it, released the Switch, which has been a huge success. But obviously, graphic-wise, anything-wise, it doesn't compete with the new consoles.
Right.
But, of course, it has all your favorite Nintendo games. It does have much better support than any of its other systems have had since way back in the probably N64 days or maybe Wii days. I don't know. We had a lot of support, but it was garbage games, so I don't really count them.
I was going to say, you take it back to the Super Nintendo days, because N64 didn't have third-party support either.
That's true. N64 really screwed the pooch. That's where it all started. So you'd have to go back to Super Nintendo. But anywho, they've got much better support than they used to have. The system is amazing. The handheld thing, the controllers, all that. Great idea. Fantastic. It's a console/handheld hybrid. I think it works. I think it's great.
Yeah.
However, it's had its heyday, It's already had its 2 years to really shine. Next year, what's going to be the push? How is Nintendo going to sell more Nintendo Switches? Do you think they're going to try for anything like a Switch Pro? Or do you think they're just going to release the Switch at a lower price? So that way when parents go to the store and they're looking at these consoles, they're going to see the $700-800 PS5, $700-800 Xbox Scarlet, and then a $199 with the game Switch sitting there, and they're gonna go, Billy's getting a Switch. That's that's great. Boop.
Well, you put it that way, I don't think they even need a price drop. Just $300 with a game, and that's it. I mean, but I mean, it's weird and it's hard to say and hard to think about. You got to put yourself in like the Nintendo mindset because they never do what you think they're gonna do, and they already have the one big advantage they have is you can take the Switch with you anywhere. You can literally play it anywhere. I mean, you can talk about, remote play, like I talked about with PS4. You can talk about playing your Xbox games on a tablet, but that's still, I'm assuming that's still internet-based. You can literally take your Switch, go in a dark dungeon where there's no internet, on the moon, and play your Switch. You're not just a console that plugs into the TV and that's it. You don't have to compete with that. You don't have to do a Switch Pro. You already have it right there. As long as your games are at least mostly, the ports are mostly the whole game, the whole experience. I don't think you need to go and say, well, it's got to look the same. It doesn't have to look the same because you can play it in handheld mode on a train. You can play it at work. It's already got the one unique thing that sets it apart. So I don't think maybe we will see a Switch Pro, but I don't think it would be that like next leap up. Maybe it's a Switch with more onboard memory or something, so you can literally take even downloaded games on the go wherever you want. I don't think they need to do a power jump, a graphics jump. They just need maybe, like I said, like a features jump, like more onboard storage. I don't know, something I can't even remember. Some kind of like balance board attachment. I don't know. Some kind of weird Nintendo thing, like a heart rate monitor. I don't know what it is.
Well,
something Nintendo-y.
No, it's not.
When I see it, I'll say that's dumb, and then when I touch it, I'll go, "This is great."
Yeah, it's true. That is true. I used to suspect that we were for sure going to see a Nintendo Switch Pro. I thought it was inevitable. I think there was some kind of leaks or rumors talking about it as well. But as we go on, I agree. I don't think they're going to. I'm starting to suspect that they're bringing the Switch into the handheld world. That they're going to just be the handheld. Yeah, you can put it in your little port and play it on your TV. It's fantastic, hence the Switch. However, I think their focus is on handheld. Now, what you said about bringing ports over that they aren't going to be quite as good like they've been doing, but are still functional and great because you can play them on the go, that's fantastic. However, that's doomed. Once the PlayStation 5 hits and the new Xbox hits, that Switch ain't playing no games that come out for that system. No ways, no how, not even, you'd have to dumb it down so much that it's redonkulous. So I suspect that they're going to keep doing this for a while, but if Nintendo doesn't figure out a way to convince third parties to develop new titles for them for the Switch, they're not going to have third-party support come the end of next year. And that's the only thing that troubles me. I love the Switch. And I think them going into the handheld market, where they've always dominated and never had competition because nobody's ever even touched a flame to what they can do, they're going to win. They're always going to have bajillions of dollars. But it's the same stupid, and this is the whole topic of tonight. They're in the same stupid boat that they've been in forever, I think. We're going to go into the next generation. Developers aren't going to be able to lazily just kind of port over a dumbed-down version of whatever game they've built for the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. And they're going to go, nah, it's not worth the time. And so they're going to keep developing for the two big dogs. And then they're going to just go, yeah, maybe we'll work out a deal. Hey, Carnival 7 for the Switch. Hey, there you go. We put Timmy and Tommy and Telly, the interns, on this game. They're building this as to see what their chops are, and then you get some garbage titles. Like you know what I'm talking about. The Wii had a billion third-party trash games all over the place for it.
Well, here you go, though. If you're not getting those top-tier AAA games on the Switch for Xbox 5 and whatever, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Scarlet, what you're going to get is all the indie stuff. You're going to get the handheld type stuff.
That's the savior.
Which is the savior and always has been. And I think it will continue to be because, all the indie devs I follow on Twitter, they all release stuff for the Switch. Everybody loves the Switch, and it's a huge market because, again, I'm not going to want to play Red Dead Redemption on a train. I'm not going to play Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, okay, well, yay, I made it across the map on my train ride, but that's about it. Okay, let me save. What I'm going to play is Castle Crashers. I'm going to play
River City
any
Girls,
kind of indie game. I'm going to play Baba Is You. Get a couple
Darkest
levels
Dungeon.
in and switch it off right there. So I think, I agree with what you're saying, that you're not going to get the big dog market, but you're going to get that mid-tier to indie level market. Like, any kind of visual novel or, static 2D game, you could put that on the Switch. That's not, I don't know the text and the specs, but you know what I'm saying. You can play all that really good stuff, maybe just not the top tier stuff. So I don't see it being a problem because you can still do the things the Switch can do that only the Switch can do.
And that
it'll work itself
a huge
out.
problem. My only issue is I don't understand why the third parties haven't started developing original titles for the Switch. The Switch has proven to be successful. Games have been proven to sell in mass quantities for the Switch. So I don't understand why, because a lot of these developers, publishers have multiple teams. So it seems like at this point, a couple of them would have been like, you know what, let's actually put together a unique title and cater it to the Switch, not to one of the big jobs, and then keep your big titles, for obviously the next generation, because I don't want to play, the next big thing, the next Star Wars title on my Switch. I want to play it on my PlayStation 5 or wherever it's going to be because its graphics are going to be phenomenal, because it's going to run smooth as butter and just be gorgeous overall. So no, I don't want that on my Switch, but I do want to feel secure knowing that all the big developers do support the Switch and know that there will always be great games and titles coming for the Switch. Even though
here's the answer that I've given to you on previous IT2Gs, I'm pretty sure. If you're a big old company developer and you're like, man, what consoles are we going to develop for? Are we going to develop these really big games that you can put on, that you can port to PS4, Xbox One, and PC? That's 3 avenues of distribution. Or are you going to make a specific Switch team, which is 1? And you can't really...
No, it's 2. You can go PC. PC can have anything. And not saying true. You can go PS5
No, whoa,
with
whoa.
it or Xbox with it. It just doesn't have the most up-to-date, high-speed, crazy graphics. But all these little tertiary, little side 2D
hey,
games.
if you want a mega awesome Switch game that's going to have your HD rumble, it's going to have your motions controls. You can't do that. You can't do that on this. Look at this.
That's
how
true.
am I going to motion control this thing?
All
Throw it at a wall? Jeez.
But that comes back to an earlier argument. Nobody uses those functions, so I don't even think about them anymore. Nobody uses them. Nobody.
But
So
when
it's
you
like-
use them, it's like, wow, this is cool.
If they did, yes, it'd be awesome. But they don't, and that just proves the point. I don't even think about it because nobody uses any of the cool functionality that those controllers have to offer. So it's like, so why bother? That's why I laughed, and off air I went up to Matt and was like, yeah, look at the next PS5's controller. Brrr, the mud's going to be like mud, and the sand's going to be like sand. Because I'm like, nobody's going to use it. They're just going to make it rumble. And then most people are going to turn that off anyway because a lot of people hate it when rumble stuff happens in their little hands. So I'm like...
That's true. And I don't think little Billy's going to want to pull his bow all the way back on Tomb Raider. He's going to turn the resistance off.
Yeah.
So it's just plink, 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 no problem.
Shoot at max speed because that's what super fast Twitch gamers want to do. They just want to go click and kill people. Not, oh, it feels realistic and cool. No, they just want to kill the player and go teabag them and everybody laughs and keep playing.
But you know when Hideo Kojima makes a game where you play as a mud man and you feel yourself sloshing through the world via that controller, it'll all be worth it.
It'll all be worth it.
Okay.
So we've then decided, I guess, that the Switch is going to stay the Switch. It's going to start competing on its own world, basically in the handheld market, which is only them and always has been.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be Xbox, PlayStation going up against one another. And you didn't say officially where you're going, but so far, PlayStation 5 is still holding its ground for me. And Xbox is the one I wish would pull ahead, but it's not going to probably.
I mean, I would get an Xbox if they said, hey, we got Atlas or we got Sega and all their games are coming here. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, as soon as the next Yakuza game is announced for PS5, whichever... Not the next one, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. As soon as Yakuza gets announced for PS5, I have to get it. As soon as Persona is announced for PS5, I got to get it. As soon as any Spike Chunsoft game comes to PS5, I got to get it.
Well, what if Atlas was coming to them, but also staying in PlayStation at this current moment? So say everything but actual first parties like the God of War, the Spider-Mans, the Horizons. You could get all the third-party developers' games on either console. Would you go Xbox right at the moment, or would you stick with PlayStation?
I mean, it would really depend on what else there. Are you talking about like right now? If it was
say
on Xbox,
say it was announced today. Xbox, the new Xbox. Well, the new Xbox will have every third-party developer supporting it, just like the PlayStation 5. Period. Your only difference is going to be the first-party support.
I mean, it would come down to the fact that what we've talked about before of, well, all my friends play on PlayStation, so I kind of have to at that point. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I'm sick of playing with my friends. I don't ever want to play with them again,
And then you go branch off.
So it's really up to you, Eric. If you stay entertaining as a person to play games with and stream games with, then I'll stay with PlayStation. If I get sick of you, though, oops, I bought an Xbox, guys.
I think we're already there,
they must have got my order screwed up at Amazon.
How many times have I begged you to play Borderlands? Nah, bro, no.
Nah, what are you talking about? Nope.
So, okay, well, in that case, you're gonna ride the fence still. I would be tempted to go back to Xbox because I used to love Halo. Used to love Halo. However, lately I've been hearing like it's only okay, it's not great. And it was the same for Gears. I used to love Gears. But lately, except for the new one I hear is pretty darn good, it was a wishy-washy.
And that's what's killing me is because that was advertised everywhere. Everything I watched on TV, every online video I watched had ads for Gears. And people said Gears 5 was awesome. So earlier this year I was like, man, I got spare cash. I can afford... we always say we're poor, Ben. I could afford to go get it right now. I just shouldn't. But I kept looking at those ads and going, man, I want to play Gears again. And I almost did it. So I would definitely be willing to do it because I do love that franchise. And I'm sure they have other unique experiences on Xbox that I just don't really know about because I don't follow Xbox. Like, I'm sure they have, oh, hey, when the last night ever comes out, I have to get an Xbox. That's still,
there you go.
Man. So, I mean, I'm sure there's enough compelling stuff. I just don't know it. So I'd definitely be willing to.
Previous, and I'll say this to close it, previous to Horizon and the newest God of War, in a heartbeat, if Xbox had all the third-party support that PlayStation has, I would jump back over. In a heartbeat. However, I've come to love Horizon and God of War now. And so...
Well, see, I'd be willing to switch just to get away from God of War, so I can hear people just stop talking about
Oh my God, it's the best game that
was
was
made by... man who likes to punch things.
It was the best game that was made by human beings. It's best game in the world. And then, of course, Resident Evil remake, fantastic. And then and I will say this, I won't say it because it's not personal for me, but everybody, Last of Us, everybody claims to be the best in the world, but I thought it was kind of a annoying game more than great, but so I don't know. I even downloaded because it's free, so I downloaded it again, and I'm like, maybe I should give it another shot. And then I've been looking at it, so I might try again. But last time I got about 3/4 of the way through, and I just had no interest to finish it, and I went, whatever.
I got a few hours in and did the same thing. I went, okay. I mean, plus it had already been spoiled for me because it was like 5 years on from that.
Same.
But I'm like, okay, well, you run around and you kill people, and people kill you, and
throwing the stupid rocks, trying to
and I don't like post-apocalyptic zombie type stuff anyway, So I was just like, not for me.
Exactly. But that's another day, another time.
Yeah.
So there you go, folks. We thought we'd just get in there, have our own little shtick right on the money about the next console war, since PlayStation put out a little bit. Switch has been chugging along. Xbox has been just doing all sorts of crazy stuff lately. We're going to probably be dead wrong. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of stuff that's going to sway us in all sorts of directions. Yeah.
We're always right.
Exactly. But it's always fun because since we record this, we can come back later and go, oh, that was all dumb and wrong. That's great. So beautiful. But it doesn't matter. It's all fun. It's all speculation. That's what we're supposed to do. What do y'all think, huh? What do y'all think?
I definitely do want to know what y'all think. And y'all can tell us what y'all's thinking in the wrap-up.
Imposters Wrap-Up.
Don't hate me because I got a southern drawl.
So what do y'all think? Is y'all thinking about that PS5 and that Xbox Scarlet? You got yourself a Switch? You get just the what is it? The Switch Lite? You get one of them?
Knobs. Oh man, I don't even know what that thing is called. It's got a nice little graphics though. I bet it does.
Oh, gracious. But if you guys do have some thoughts on it, we would love it if you shared it with us. Also, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, any kind of feedback whatsoever, you can send that to us via email at info@thirdshift.me, tweet it at us at ThirdShiftME, or find us on Facebook under Third Shift.
You can indeed find us over there. You can also find us out on Patreon. If you like what we're doing, like what you hear, please consider heading over there and throwing $1 in, $2 in, $5 in, $1,000 in, or maybe even the coveted $1 million, in which case we'll open up a food line. We'll have an aisle dedicated to babies in jars. We'll have an aisle dedicated to the soon-to-be patented gold cocks. And we'll have a mascot running around doing crazy things all the time. Cameras set up, crazy employees, reality TV show, you name it. We're going to have fun. It's going to be the best store in the world. So, just give us that $1 million and we'll make it happen. If you don't have $1 million to make it happen, and you don't have $1 to throw our way, we understand. You got to buy diapers and cigarettes. We get it. You'd expect
You're an old man. You got to buy yourself diapers and cigarettes.
That's right. Yeah, that's what you do, right? So, you can support us on so many other things, like going on over to the Twitch, following us, subscribing to us, getting the Twitch, the Amazon Prime memberships, all that good stuff. That'll help out. Or you can go give us mailbag questions, leave us awesome comments, 5-star ratings, any of those things. Keep us motivated, help us out, so we can provide you with a beautiful, beautiful show.
And speaking of shows, our very next show will drop on the 29th of October, because this podcast comes to you every 2 weeks on a Tuesday. And you can find that show on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podbean, on Spotify, and on YouTube. And as I always say, if you like what we're doing and you'd like to help us out, please give us a like, a rating, review, comment, and subscription. Any kind of good thing on any one of them good services, because it does help us out. And really do appreciate it.
We really do appreciate it. And let me tell you, we also appreciate them 5 stars. You know, I've been telling everybody, I said, you get on over there and give us them 5 stars. You give us 5 stars, maybe I got a old 5-star story. I don't even know if I ever told a 5-star story over here. I don't even remember. It's been so dang long. But I'll tell you what.
Pappy down in the swamps of Louisiana wants he
Yeah,
to tell them 5-star story. Let me tell you about
You
it.
don't tell me about that story. I'll tell you what. But if you don't, I ain't going to tell no story. But I'll tell you this right now. Next time you hear us, it's going to be that spooky time with them ghosts and goblins. You know, maybe we'll have little spooky times here on the show. I don't know. But with that said, I think that's all we got to say today.
Yep, that's it, except for...
Yeah, don't forget to
Don't
save.
forget to save. Ding-a-ding-a-ding-ding-ding-ding. Banjo music.